evening, I'm Ces Oreña-Drilon.
And I'm Shawn Yao.
The big stories tonight, a busy day at the House of Representatives. The Justice Panel gave the Vice President 10 days to respond to her impeachment complaints. Then, one lawmaker is slapped with an ethics rap, while another, critical of President Marcos, is stripped of leadership.
And agencies that handle concerns of Filipinos abroad got a dressing down from two senators. And that is for being, quote, unreachable at the height of the Middle East conflict.
And self-proclaimed Duterte aide Ramil Madriaga was allegedly offered as much as 1 billion pesos for his silence on the Vice President's past dealings.
I decided to interpolate and ask a few questions to our distinguished colleague, Mr. Speaker, dahil medyo nalito ako nung ang pinag-usapan ay ang posisyon ng Senior Deputy Minority Leader, pero tila nalihis ang kanyang speech.
Ngunit Mr. Speaker, bakit kailangan questionin ng isang miyembro ng kapulungang ito ang aking talumpati? Kung may mali, kung may kasinungalingan, bakit hindi ako debatihin dito mismo sa plenaryo?
Vice President Sara Duterte's bank records may now be subjected to scrutiny. After the VP's impeachment complaints were declared sufficient in substance, this once impossible check has been unlocked. Mobile journalist Arles de los Santos with tonight's big story.
Among the grounds for impeachment against Vice President Sara Duterte is her alleged misuse of more than 600 million pesos in OVP and DepEd confidential funds. Before they vote Wednesday that found complaints sufficient in substance, Bicol Saro Party List Representative Tere Redon presented copies of VP's salins since 2008. From just 18 million pesos, Duterte's net worth supposedly climbed to 88 million pesos as of December 2024. Redon promises to back the allegation with supporting documents soon. At this point, opening the bank deposits of Sara Duterte could prove crucial to the case to oust her.
Yung release ng bank accounts can be a game changer. No? Can be a game changer sa lahat na nangyayari. Sa popular opinion, sa mga politicians, even sa mga senador. Okay. Kaya crucial yan.
Access to Duterte's bank deposits are protected by the bank secrecy law. But since the two impeachment complaints have advanced, the House Committee on Justice may now examine the VP's financial records for evidence. Section 2 of the Bank Secrecy Act states that all bank deposits are confidential except in some cases, including impeachment, but this will not be automatic at this stage.
There are complainants. If they will be filing a motion for the issuance of the subpoena duces tecum, that is with regards to the relevant documents, no? And even ad testificandum, the attendance of significant witnesses, we will be acting on their motion.
The House Justice Committee has already directed the Vice President to respond to the impeachment complaints against her within 10 days. Duterte's camp received the notice this morning. After the 10-day period, there could be back and forth between Duterte's lawyers and the complainants on the filing of pleadings, affidavits, and counter-affidavits. Once there is sufficient grounds for impeachment, a public hearing will commence to examine the pieces of evidence and witnesses. The Justice Committee has 60 session days from February 23 to come up with a decision. Meanwhile, the only lawmaker who stood up for VP Duterte in March 4 House vote is now facing an ethics complaint. Women's organizations filed a complaint against Quezon City 4th District Representative Bong Suntay. That's over his supposed sexist and inappropriate remarks against actress Ann Curtis made during the Justice Panel's hearing on Tuesday. The complainants accused Suntay of violating various laws, including the Magna Carta of Women.
Papakita lang ito nung kanyang attitude, yung pagtingin niya talaga sa kababaihan, na habang nagsasalita siya, lalong nabubulgar kung gaano siya kamacho. At ano pa naman siya, mambabata siya, pero siya ang kauna-unahan na lumalabag doon sa batas. nakapatungkol sa kababaihan.
And in a slightly less controversial development, mamamayang Liberal Party List Representative Leila de Lima has replaced Caloocan Congressman Edgar Erice as Senior Deputy Minority Leader. Minority Leader Marcelino Libanan moved for the change during the regular House session on March 3rd. Hours after Erice slammed President Bongbong Marcos over the anti-political dynasty bill.
If there is anyone more worthy to take my place, it is Congresswoman Leila de Lima. Papasalamat din po ako kay Minority Leader Nonoy Libanan. Alam ko po na nakatali ang kanyang mga kamay. Malaki na rin po ang kanyang sakripisyo sapagkat madalas siyang tinatawagan ni Majority Leader Sandro Marcos dahil sa aking tuloy-tuloy na kritisismo sa mga polisiya ng Administrasyong Marcos. Policies, ulitin ko po, policies, not personal attacks.
De Lima has not issued a statement on the matter. Kapatid Arles de los Santos, we are One News.
In other news, senators are calling for the resignation of certain Filipino personnel assigned in the Middle East for supposed negligence. Senate Foreign Affairs Committee Chair Erwin Tulfo claimed the personnel were the first to flee when the airstrikes between Iran and the joint forces of Israel and the U.S. broke out. Tulfo referred to staff from the Foreign Affairs and Migrant Workers Departments and the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration or OWA.
Kung natatakot kayo, pag hupa ito, lumayas kayo dyan, mag-resign kayo lahat. Wala naman kayong mga silbi. 24/7 sabi ng Pangulo, dapat kayo bukas. Hindi yung, kung hindi pa tatawag mga senador, tsaka pa lang kayo bubuksan ninyo mga telepono ninyo.
Then came the turn of Senate Migrant Workers Committee Chair Rafi Tulfo. He said distressed OFWs in the Middle East are complaining about unavailable staff and unanswered hotlines, while some government personnel allegedly skipped work. Something that should not be the case, according to DMW Secretary Hans Kickback, since the order is all hands on deck.
Dito nga sa Bahrain, may advice rin sila na close sila bukas March na una pang magsarado ang opisina ng OWA or DMW or DFA na una pa at mag-absent. So, siguro we make sure this time na bukas po lahat ng matanggapan natin.
Nakita ko po sa sarili kong mata sa Zoom call yung tao natin sa Bahrain, labor attaché natin at welfare officers. But nevertheless, Mr. Chair, we will look deeper into this, but definitely I saw all of us at work because March 1 was the day after the attacks, and immediately we had a series of calls, and they all received their instructions from myself directly, and definitely the clear instruction was all hands on deck, Mr. Chair. At kung meron pong nagkulang, gusto ko lang din po malaman ng pangalan at I will look into this. Mr. Chair, Mr. Sem, but rest assured, we are all hands on deck. Hindi po itong panahon na magpahuway o mag-absent o ano paman. And we will enforce this.
Meantime, almost 300 Filipinos who were stranded in Dubai are now back in Manila. Secretary Kickback personally greeted them at the NAIA this morning, assuring them of swift aid. This first batch of repatriates managed to come home after some airspaces partially opened. The DMW has another plan should airspaces become available again or unavailable again.
Kung sarado ang airspace at ang airport, so we have land transport options, crossing the border from the country affected to a safer country, safer ground, and from there lilipad po pauwi. So ang mga plano po natin include land transport to the border, and hindi ko lang po matukoy sa ngayon yung detalye for security reasons, but we have identified the exit points, we have identified the meeting points, the pickup points in country, and the exit points to the border, and then kung ano pong klaseng mode of transport, so it's either commercial or chartered naman po ang options out of the safer country.
Meanwhile, the Finance Department says that it will take swift action to protect Filipinos from sudden price hikes amid the Middle East conflict. And that is even as headline inflation in February ticked up to 2.4%, the highest so far in 13 months. This figure brings the average year-to-date inflation to 2.2%, which is still within the Bangko Central's forecast range of 2.3 to 3.1% and the government's 2 to 4% inflation target. Bracing further for the impact of a prolonged war, the Finance Department says it is also closely monitoring global oil prices. The Energy Department is likewise meeting with local oil companies for them to stagger their oil price increases in the coming weeks. Earlier, President Bongbong Marcos said he is considering a reduction on fuel excise tax if Congress gives him emergency powers. And as for transport agencies, that's the DOTR and the LTFRB, or Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board, they will roll out fuel subsidies for public utility vehicle operators. This is meant to help ease the burden of steep oil prices on drivers and keep fares down. And for its part, the Department of Agriculture will also distribute subsidies to farmers and fisherfolk who likewise use fuel to produce and transport food items.
The possibility of oil prices reaching new record highs is on everyone's mind. Let's try to get the Department of Energy's take on this. And joining us tonight is Director Rino Abad of the Oil Industry Management Bureau. Good evening, Director. Welcome to The Big Story.
Good evening, Ma'am Tess and Ma'am Shawn, and of course to your televiewers po.
Now, we are all bracing ourselves for the next round of price increases. Will there be one next week, and will it be staggered?
Of course, we have an expected increase next week. But as you mentioned, the implementation of the exact amount will still be under review of the oil companies, individual oil companies, and we'll get to have that data of the decision on the staggered price increase by Saturday. So after the 5-day trading price, the oil companies will be able to compute the entire amount of possible increase, and then from that amount, they will be able to decide what will be the staggered price increase scheme. So that will be announced by Saturday.
And the oil companies have already agreed to this staggered basis of increasing prices.
Well, we've done it already before. So our hope really is to do it again this time, and this is even much worse than before. So I think we really have to work closely with the oil companies in making sure that we will be able to mitigate the price increase by next week.
Can we understand, Director Abad, that nadadaan lang ito sa magandang pakiusap and they are not mandated to actually do this, but have you secured their approval? And also, paano po yung staggering? Like, is there a computation on how they will do that? Or may ganun po bang guidelines?
Mabilis po yan, ano? It's just a pronouncement, and of course the downline retail outlets will just have to follow the amount pronounced by the mother oil company. So there's no complication in that. You can immediately change the price display board and adjust the price component in the dispensing pump. So immediately that can be implemented as soon as possible.
We touched a high of about 90 pesos per liter of diesel and gasoline. So is that something that may happen again?
We've had that, as I mentioned before. Even I've seen a price as high as 100 pesos in Boracay at that time. So this is even worse than before. So I think that is no longer a question. It's just a matter of time that we'll see. We'll see in the next week's computation.
Now, Director, of course, we're talking about price, but there's also the matter of supply. Are we,
Yes.
do we have a comfortable buffer?
Well, as of last week, no, March 1, confirmed buffer stock of the oil industry points to around 50 days supply for liquid fuel, meaning gasoline, diesel, and kerosene. But LPG, that will be around 28 days. But please note that the regulation requires the oil companies to maintain 15 days supply for gasoline, diesel, and kerosene, and only 7 days for LPG. So if you look at the requirement versus the actual inventory as of March 1, they have triple to 4 times that requirement. So we have that lead time for us to get alternative suppliers outside of Middle East. And that's the good thing with that buffer reserve.
Now, I understand that 85% or even more of our oil is really from the Middle East. And now that that is under question, especially with the Strait of Hormuz being impassable, what other alternatives are we looking at?
Well, it's correct, right? The Petron refinery is getting not 80, but it's around 98% now from the Middle East. Not from Iran exactly, but with the other Middle East countries. But that is only Petron is supplying around 26 to 28% of the entire demand of the country. And the rest are imported directly from Asia, Pacific region. So that's China, Japan, South Korea, Singapore. But we know for a fact that around 88% of the Middle East crude oil goes to Asia Pacific region. So indirectly, we will also be affected if these refining countries will be affected by Middle East crude oil disruption. So the alternative really is to go outside of Middle East, and we have like U.S., Canada, Australia, Latin America, basically Brazil and Venezuela, and of course Africa. So that's the option now for not only for the Philippines but for the rest of other countries in the ASEAN region.
Right. Will this be done via the Energy Department, or are we leaving it to the oil companies to make these arrangements?
Well, it's a combination of the private sector. Of course, the primary supplier of, with the deregulated regime that we have now, the primary supplier of fuel in our country is the private sector. So we've been discussing that for the entire week with the oil companies, and they're very much aware that they have to source from outside of the Middle East. But at the same time, our secretary has already directed PNOC to explore and in so short a time, they have to act on not only exploring but an actual procurement of what we call the standby diesel inventory for reserve. Now this adds up. This will add up to the reserve of the entire country. Private sector will do its alternative sourcing, including now the Philippine National Oil Company.
Okay. Director, a lot of consumers always wonder if we do keep on a supply of around 2 months, bakit next week agad na daw mararamdaman yung pag-akyat sa pump prices of the Iran and the US-Israel tensions. Maybe you can explain again kung paano po ba nila sinastagger yon? Because that's also kind of already hedging their costs, right?
Because the usual practice of the supplier abroad is that even if you lock in the supply, they don't lock in the price because of the highly commoditized form of trade in oil. So your price is always upon delivery. So you get the supply quantity early on, but you have to pay on the day that you get it, because that exposes also the trader. So, for example, if we lock in the price 1 year ago, that will be very risky for the trader, for the supplier, and this both parties, traders and buyers, knows that. So, what the usual practice is, lock in the quantity, but you have to pay me on the day that I will deliver it to you. So if the deliveries will come next week, then it will already be priced at the price in the minimum plus Singapore by next week. So they have to recover that. Otherwise, the working capital that they'll get from a much lower price will not be able to, again, to be used in the next shipment, because they will be getting less for the fund that they need to buy the necessary volume in the next shipment.
So, Director, the price increase, we will know the price increase by Saturday, but when will it take effect? Will it be on Tuesday?
The part, probably, the staggered price increase will stay Tuesday. But if that will be implemented, it might be in a series of imposition, like in a 3-week period, 2-week period, or even a separate date. So I would presume that they will implement parts in Tuesday next week, but on the other parts will be implemented in succeeding days or succeeding weeks.
So it could be possible, Director Abad, because we've already gotten used to the price increases kicking in at 6 a.m. on Tuesday. Yan yung designated day every week. So it's possible that by next week, there could be hikes across multiple days of the week and not just on Tuesday morning.
Possible ho yan. So our point is, of course, we have to give that discretion to the oil companies. In the end, they will have to compute and decide on what will be the scheme, depending most likely to the working capital that they have and the replenishment period that they have to observe.
Director, you've been in in the industry for quite some time. Tell us, have you seen any crisis this bad? Wherein go ahead.
Well, the last time I remember the price goes this high is way back June 2022. It went as high as 85 pesos per liter, so as high as 100 in some islands of the Philippines, like Boracay. So now we're at a point that we are now has gone up to as much as 76, estimate 76 pesos per liter. So we're not that yet at that time at 85 or 90, but we have to monitor, right, for the next week and the next week.
Can you foresee, Director Abad, the impact on our energy costs as well? I know we've been talking about pump prices and, of course, kerosene, but prices have been going up this year already, like 8 pesos so far for gasoline, diesel, kerosene, like 10 pesos per liter already so far for 2026. What are the impacts on energy, energy production or generation?
Well, on power generation, probably it's just around 3% of the power mix that is still diesel-based. So much of our fuel for power would be coal and natural gas. So, and renewable energy, of course. So
But
we're not really exposed to the diesel, but well, a chunk of the problem would be for Napocor, right? Because Napocor has a fixed budget, and if at all, if it's just a small portion in terms of megawatts, but they are servicing the off-grid area. So that those are islands. And of course, we need to, well, Napocor will be directly affected by any increase of their diesel cost.
But we also see a potential tightness in LNG supply because some countries have closed their plants because of threats to the safety of continuing their operations.
Well, what the record shows now is that our two regasification terminals in Batangas have sufficient supply for the month of March. But you're correct, just like in oil, the issue really will be on April onward. So the good thing, of course, with LNG is much of our sources comes from Australia, Malaysia, for example, and US. But definitely, on a global scale, Qatar is producing around 20% of the global supply. So probably the onset would be on price. But later on, of course, so buyers of Qatar LNG will start to compete even with Australia, with U.S. supply.
So the price will go up.
It will become not only a price problem, but a supply problem likewise.
So this means that even energy costs will go up, power costs.
We hope that the issue in Middle East is temporary in a sense that no country there don't want to export. It's just that the shipping companies are just exercising caution in flying over that area. So as soon as the faster that the conflict will be resolved, the faster that we will be able to resume the normal supply of LNG from Qatar.
We hope your optimism will be proven right. Thank you so much for your time, Director Rino Abad of the Energy Department's Oil Industry Management Bureau. This is a big story on One News. When we return, we have revelations from the lawyer of Ramil Madriaga, who said his client was recently attacked in jail, was offered money to keep silent about Vice President Sara Duterte. That and more when we return. Stay with us. The big story is back with more stories making headlines this Thursday. The National Security Council says 3 Filipinos arrested for alleged Chinese-linked espionage have confessed to sharing sensitive information. NSC Assistant Director General Cornelio Valencia told their sister program Storycon the suspects provided the names of Navy personnel involved in West Philippine Sea operations, along with other operational details. The Filipinos were recruited by Chinese handlers. But the NSC does not believe the China-linked spying network is widespread.
We do not discount that there may be others, but to say it is widespread is a misnomer. We have also ways of monitoring of what information is not known, what information is known. So we believe the systems that we have established since 2023, when we started all this, is standing up strong. And this is why we were able to get them.
In another development, the Interior Department has filed a criminal complaint against Bureau of Fire Protection Director Jesus Fernandez. That's over alleged kickbacks worth 14.7 million pesos in a manipulated bidding for 132 ambulance units. That was back in 2024 when Fernandez was chair of BFP's Bids and Awards Committee. Amid the controversy, Fernandez attended a fire station groundbreaking in Capas, Tarlac today. He did not comment on the allegations. And meantime, former Senator Sonny Trillanes has sued 18 former military personnel, lawyer Levy Baligon, former Congressman Mike Defensor and several media personalities. The group earlier accused Trillanes of receiving $2 million from resigned Congressman Zaldico to bribe investigators of the ICC or International Criminal Court. Baligod was slapped with cyber libel charges, while Defensor Jay Sonza, Lorraine Badoy, and vlogger Kathy Binag were sued for allegedly spreading false claims. The 18 former soldiers, meanwhile, are facing perjury complaints.
And in other news, Vice President Sara Duterte's alleged former aide, Ramil Madriaga, was reportedly offered cash for silence. Madriaga's lawyer, attorney Raymond Palad, told their sister program Storycon the payoff was from groups supporting Duterte. Palad also revealed a recent incident where Madriaga was threatened by another inmate at Camp Bagong Diwa. Madriaga, now detained over kidnapping charges, claimed receiving money from drug lords and pogo operators to fund Duterte's 2022 campaign.
Sinabi, 500 to 1, name your price. Ang magandang kondisyon nun, you don't need to recant daw. Basta
Huwag ka lang
huwag
mapakita.
ka lang magpistigo. O, parang ganon.
Meanwhile, the so-called Mount Kamuning along EDSA will be literally stricken off the commuting public's collective memory. President Bongbong Marcos himself tried climbing the infamous footbridge in Quezon City and found it dangerous. After scaling the structure, Marcos immediately ordered Mount Kamuning to be torn down.
Kaya mas mabuti na ito. Sabi ko talagang hindi practical yung kanilang ginawa. Kaya ngayon, mas mababa na ang akyatin na hagdan, tapos meron ng elevator para kung yung mga hindi kayang umakyat ng hagdan.
Replacing the oddly designed footbridge is a new one which now connects the EDSA busway and nearby MRT station. It boasts an elevator and a wheelchair lift as well. The project cost 55 million pesos and President Marcos wants it maintained properly. Apart from the Kamuning station, similar stations and crosswalks are also being constructed along the EDSA busway.
On a much lighter note, PLDT Enterprise and TikTok launch Go Live, studio packages to help Filipino creators and SMEs live stream professionally. This way, these stakeholders can grow their businesses. Mobile journalist Denise Valdesancho reports.
Content creation has grown rapidly over the years, evolving from a creative outlet to a powerful industry. Today, individuals are leveraging that not just for expression, but as a significant source of income, and business leaders are here exactly for that. That commitment was formalized in Taguig as PLDT Enterprise and TikTok signed a partnership agreement to launch the TikTok Go Live Studio packages. The collaboration aims to enhance digital streaming experiences for creators, multi-channel networks, and small and medium enterprises by combining enterprise-grade connectivity with TikTok's expanding live stream ecosystem.
I think maybe this is the first time that we're formally doing something where we're targeting their own customers. With TikTok, it's about an ecosystem, right? And so I think the big idea is really that we can do. We can work on enabling the infrastructure, enabling all of these content networks, right? So they can creator networks, so that they can then be of better service to the end creators, and therefore just accelerate just the growth of that market.
Through the Go Live Studio packages, creator networks gain access to stable, secure, and high-performance connectivity, professional studio facilities, and round-the-clock support, ensuring uninterrupted live streaming operations. For many aspiring creators, going live can come with technical risks that could derail crucial moments online.
When you think about trying to do that all live, there's a lot of technology, network connectivity, all of those X factors that are happening in the background that could really mess up your big moment when you're live, right? And so I think the idea is to leave that to the professionals.
TikTok says the Philippines remains a key growth market, with Filipino creators building strong communities through authentic, real-time engagement. Beyond entertainment, the platform has evolved into a space where creators and businesses generate sustainable income and long-term opportunities.
We're here to combine PLDT's connectivity and technological backbone
together with TikTok's creator content and live stream ecosystem. And when we do that, it brings and empowers these creators stable access to internet, high quality live streams that then translates into their real business outcomes, right? They're not driving just engagement, interactions on an online platform. They're building real businesses with sustainable revenues.
The partnership also opens opportunities for SMEs to join creator networks, access better monetization support, and scale their operations more efficiently. With the rollout now underway, PLDT Enterprise and TikTok reaffirm their commitment to strengthening the country's digital creator economy, providing the right infrastructure, the right platform, and the right partners to help Filipino creators go live. Kapatid Denise Valdesancho, we are One News.
We are pausing for a quick break, but right after that, we tell you about one technology that puts bamboo and concrete together. And it's proving to be a great combination for disaster-resilient homes. Sustainability is up next. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to the big story. As climate risks rise, so does the need for housing that's both sustainable and disaster resilient. Base Bahay Foundation is doing just that, using cement bamboo frame technology. This system combines bamboo and concrete to create durable structures. With its partners, the foundation has already built homes and schools across the Philippines, including in Leyte and South Cotabato. It's time to put the spotlight on initiatives that move communities forward. Welcome to Sustainability. And joining us tonight is Paulo Ferrer, Director of Business and Strategic Development at Base Bahay Foundation. Welcome to the program, Paulo.
Thank you for having us. Good evening.
Yeah. First, give us a brief background on Base Bahay. How long has it been in the Philippines?
Well, Base Bahay started in 2014. We were initiated by the Hilti Foundation, and the goal was really to find a regenerative solution for housing and for the construction industry. So the reason we went to the Philippines is because this is fertile ground for research. You have a lot of regenerative materials. And sad to say, but we're also very high on the world risk index, which means we have a lot of natural disasters. So if you can figure out a housing solution that works here, it's going to work anywhere else in the world. Exactly.
Right. And well, I wanted to, I know Base Bahay has been on the show before, but you're doing something really exciting this March until October.
Yes.
Tell us about this competition. It's a worldwide competition.
It is.
Pala. Okay.
It's called the Bamboo Housing Challenge. We developed it together with Bamboo U of Bali, Indonesia. And we've been working with them for quite some time, since earlier than the pandemic, to figure out, how we get the word out for bamboo. And this competition was the result of a conversation that asked the question, we've been working with bamboo and we've been working within that network for so long. And how do we bring people outside of that bubble of bamboo, green materials, basically, to come in? So the competition invites architects, engineers, all these professionals who would otherwise be a little resistant to take a risk on design, and give them this opportunity to join a competition where their design could be built in Bali, Indonesia.
Wow.
They could be...
That's part of the prize.
That's part of the prize. So
okay. The winning design gets built.
The winning design gets built, and one of the team members, team of 3 is the maximum, could fly to Bali, Indonesia. Their accommodations and their flights will be paid for by the competition, and they will take part of an 11-day course where they build the actual design that they had submitted. So this is unique in the sense that in most competitions, you submit a design and it stays in paper.
Yes.
So this is a concept to construction contest, you know? So you have a fruition of what you had envisioned for this.
And where in Bali will it be built? In the Bamboo U premises?
We have to finalize where that's going to be, but it will be together with the Bamboo U Group.
So tell us the details so that, you know, those who have friends who want to join or who actually want to join can do so.
Please, it's open to architects and engineers, professionals, and even students. So the question here is, if you're a student and you don't have a license, how do you, continue to design and develop your proposal? There will be a mentorship program with the Base Bahay Foundation. We will support these groups who enter their submission and help them develop their design.
Okay.
They can submit their registrations until March 15. And by April, they have to submit their design. And
They can do so online.
they can do so online. You
There's
can
a
go
fee?
to, there's a small fee, around $200. You'll find it there. But the return is much greater than that because the value of the course of Bamboo U, the online course, is around $1,000. The value of the 11-day course that if you win, you get to enjoy and take part of that is around $2,800. And of course, everything in between going there and
Okay, so calling
taking
all
part will be
architects, engineers, and even students, kahit freshman sa college,
anyone,
pwede.
even someone who's just passionate about bamboo, this is the perfect opportunity for them to get involved with the stakeholders that they couldn't get to, The high stakes players in bamboo who would be out of reach normally, they're all part of this. So
How many, Paolo, how many target participants are you looking at and how many have signed up so far?
we have 31 countries joining in, around 119 individuals.
Already,
Already.
You just announced parang last month, no?
Just recently, yes.
Just
last month.
recently. So there's still time, March 15. No, walang extension.
Well, it remains to be seen.
For
But
now,
you
wala.
already have so much.
Exactly.
Why do you think there's so much interest all over the world?
We're starting to see, the challenge of building now with conventional materials is there's sort of a circular problem. We want to build more houses, we want to develop more communities. We're using conventional material. And 40% of the carbon emissions of the globe come from the construction industry.
One of the highest contributors to greenhouse gases.
Exactly. So as we develop more housing to solve the problems of people in disaster-prone areas, we're also contributing to the problem of climate and carbon emissions. So then it's that circular problem. But if we break that chain, by that cycle, by using a regenerative material, something that's just in our backyard, and process it, low-tech processing. And when I say low-tech, this is something that's replicable. It can be done up in the mountains, in the provinces, and all of the high-tech stuff happens in the lab where Base Bahay works. That can be then a solution to using green material for construction.
Although we're seeing the videos that you've sent us, it looks like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what you're doing is replacing some of the usual steel materials with bamboo, mixing it with concrete. So
Correct.
the beams in this house are bamboo, you fill it with concrete.
Correct.
In terms of cost, which is unfortunately what a lot of people look at, even if they're not into sustainability, they might be into like a price shave. How much cheaper is it to build it your way?
If you're building it in the same design as concrete, you're saving at least 30% because you're using local material, you're using less rebar and less cement, and the overall structure is lighter. So just on your foundation, you're using less material.
And for the ones that want to join your competition, are they limited to using this technology or anything goes basta bamboo?
Well, the criteria is that the use of bamboo has to be prominent in that design for this competition. It has to be replicable. It has to be affordable. So the parameter is you have an 80 square meter lot and a $10,000 budget.
Pang socialized housing.
Exactly. You want to help us solve the problem of a replicable, designing a replicable and affordable and disaster resilient home. And that's really the goal that we have to achieve. And it has to be something that you can scale up, Nothing too fancy or difficult to replicate. Something that you can bring to a different continent and it's going to work.
This design that we were showing on the screen is also fast to build. I mean, parang are they prefab or how does it work?
The system is called cement bamboo frame technology. And obviously there's cement and bamboo in that. But the frames, when they're delivered, the panels, when they're delivered, they come as one entire panel. So when it comes to...
So isang wall na yun.
Isang wall na siya. You have a wall panel, a door panel, a window panel. And when you get to the site, you don't have to figure out so many complicated things. It's like building Lego blocks.
So pre-cut na siya.
Pre-cut na siya. So that sort of demystifies the challenge of building with bamboo. Because people think there's a lot of variables and you have to be selective. All of the prefab manufacturing happens at the construction site, the prefabrication site. When the panels come to the construction site, it's much simpler, everything is standardized, and in fact, the employees of Base Bahay have built these houses as well with their own hands.
What about pests? I know
Yun na
this
nga
is
eh.
one concern.
Right.
Yun na nga eh, let's demystify din yung bamboo na hindi siya matibay, after 1 year, bulok na.
Kakabukbok, yung mga ganon.
There's a treatment process that we developed that addresses these concerns. Yung anay, bukbok, yung mga fungal infections, these are all addressed by the treatment process. Basically, what we want to do is take out the starch and treat the cellulose of the bamboo so that it's no longer attractive to bukbok or anay. And once you've done that, you've solved the problem of any organic attacks on bamboo. The poles itself, if you don't leave them out in water or in the sun, would last, at least on paper, 50 years minimum.
So no sun exposure, no rain, no exposure to the elements dapat.
Yes. They don't react well with UV light that is corrosive and damages the bamboo. But if you put them in walls and clad them with cement, then you have structures that will last for who knows how long. In fact, in Colombia and in the Philippines as well, we've had instances where we noticed there are some old structures in bamboo, normally churches, that have these mud cladding that comes off, tabique Pampango. And these are vernacular approaches to building with bamboo. But if you're using cement, you're expecting this to last even much longer.
So imagine, this is like an ancient practice that you just like modernized and updated. Because even in the Philippines, during the Spanish time, I understand, some bahay na bato have bamboo.
Elements of bamboo.
Yeah, inside, within.
Exactly.
Within the walls.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're not creating a new product. We're using something that nature gave us. We're refining it and understanding it for it to be engineered. And when I say engineered, we're using an engineering approach, but not highly processing the bamboo. If you saw in the videos, they're mostly still in its round form.
You know, Shawn, I visited their lab, and what's fascinating is they subject the bamboo to all the stress tests, so that it's not just a matter of they can make all these claims because it's proven, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Basically, pasok siya sa building code, sa mga codes and standards.
Two elements to that. We couldn't build anything if we didn't have what we have, is the ITEC accreditation. It's issued by the National Housing Authority. So it certifies that it's safe, it's more affordable, and it's disaster resilient, the technology. And all of this is for us to make strides towards bringing this bamboo solution to the building code. At present, there are a few countries in the world that have bamboo in the building code. The Philippines isn't one of them.
Okay, next question. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're working with the Association of Structural Engineers of the Philippines, and we've developed the guideline. Now, the next part of this plan to bring it to the structural code is to find champions in the government who will help us lobby for it.
Okay. And are these limited to just houses? And this also goes for your competition. Are the designs limited to just house designs, or can it be like anything?
For the competition, it's housing.
Housing.
But for the application in the real world, it can be used for anything. Anything that you can design in conventional material, but for the The asterisk I put here is that it has to be within a 2-story limit.
While we have still some time, I know you wanted to discuss this project you were working with the engineering brigade of the AFP in South Cotabato.
Yes, in Polomolo.
Yeah, tell us about it. Ito naman ay classrooms.
Classrooms. It's
Sana nakikinig ang DepEd.
I hope we get to them.
Yeah.
It's a 2.8 million peso classroom. So it's very affordable and it can be built within 4 months. This classroom is around 210 square meters in a floor area.
That's what we're seeing now? That's the classroom?
Yes.
Ang ganda!
That one was built in Southern Leyte, together with a group called All Hands and Hearts. But we recently completed
Maeengganyo ako mag-aral kung iyan ang classroom ko. And 2.8 million, how does that compare to the prices that DepEd or DPWH builds?
From what we know, this is at least half of what one classroom, yes. Because you could normally
Paging Vince Dison also.
you could normally do one classroom for 2.8 million with conventional material, but this is 2.
2, and so beautiful.
It feels very connected to nature when you're inside, and it feels a lot cooler because all of the bamboo elements.
I was gonna ask, does this mean it's actually cooler in there?
It is.
Versus like a typical Yero roof?
Against Yero, definitely. But even against yung cement walls, you feel much cooler because the walls don't absorb the heat throughout the afternoon. So towards the late afternoon, there's also much less dissipation of heat within the structure itself.
And it really looks Filipino.
It does.
Diba?
It brings
Instead
us back
of some
to our
cement
roots.
structure lang.
Exactly. Brings us back to our roots, and it's very conducive because of the soft environment you have inside.
Okay. One question though, I think, that people watching this video might have is that, paano kaya to pag may dumating na bagyo? Magstay ba yung bubong or liliparin din ba yan?
We do all of our tests in our Base Innovation Center in Makati, where like I said earlier, all the high-tech stuff happens. We have all this equipment that tests bamboo as an individual material. We assess the mechanical properties. And the entire system, the entire wall is also tested to see and make sure that it holds up against Category 5 typhoons, against earthquakes. And of the 1,800 houses we've built in the Philippines, we have never had a failure in any of these structures.
Of the 1,800.
Correct.
Wow, and you've been here since 2014, diba? The very first house you built was in Bicol, diba?
In Gunabatan, where it was built in 2013, and by 2014, Typhoon Glenda came in. And we were expecting nothing less than for everything to stay intact. So
really?
after 12 years now, the houses are still intact, people are living in them, and Gunabatan is where typhoons come through.
Yeah,
It's right by the Pacific Ocean.
Bicol is the most typhoon hit region.
And we've never had a failure. Because we have to make sure that none of these structures ever fail. Otherwise, that spells a bad story for bamboo.
Right. This partnership with Bamboo U of Bali is great with Base Bahay. How would Bali has been at the forefront in advocating bamboo. Are we catching up?
Bali is building with bamboo very creatively. They have all these very beautiful structures and they're very
beautiful
Instagrammable.
And durable.
Beautiful. What we are trying to help Indonesia do is bring it to the level of what we have in the Philippines. And this is what we're proud about.
Durability.
Which is more engineered.
More engineered.
So the Philippines in its own right is very advanced in terms of bamboo, understanding bamboo and bamboo research because we are the global competence center for bamboo.
Yeah, we've attracted people
very
from
prominent.
all over the world. It's great.
Yeah. Even
it's
just on this
it's a
segment.
secret pa. Not too many people know about this.
Yeah.
We should
just
spread
on this
the
segment
word.
alone, how many bamboo-related, foreign businesses have set up shop here? There's been quite a lot.
Rhizome, for instance,
Exactly.
diba?
Rhizome is also working with us. We're supporting them in testing. They're doing laminated bamboo. We're doing round poles. And anyone who's within the bamboo industry, we're happy to work with them because anything that brings bamboo to the mainstream market is something that will help change the perception.
So if someone's watching right now and they don't necessarily, or they're not ready to join the competition, but they do want to learn more, is there a way to get in touch with you guys?
There is. On our website, we have all these publications that are public. They can download them and they can get in touch with us to join our CPDs. These are courses that we have for professionals who need to renew their license, and we have them almost every quarter. So, there's always a lot of educational avenues for us to reach out to the public, and they just have to contact us.
Great. We can go on and on and on about bamboo, but we've run out of time. Thank you so much, Paolo.
Thank you very much.
And we do hope more join this competition. It's exciting to see the entries. So, once again, that was Paolo Ferrer of Base Bahay Foundation.
On that note, that's it for the big story on this Thursday. We'll see you again tomorrow at 8 p.m.
Kapatid, we are One News, all sides, all the time. Have a good night.